What is going on out there, everybody? Episode 4 of the All Around Sports Podcast with your host, Jim McAllister. What's up, everybody? We got an action-packed show today. We're going to talk to Nick GRASSELLI, fresh off of his Cape Cod vacation. Talk about some MLB trade deadline. We're going to talk about, some NBA Summer League. We'll pop a few things around here and there. Just share our thoughts and opinions about what our teams we want to see do come, the trade deadline, which is probably about 2 weeks away at this point. You figure, about 2.5 weeks away. So we're right in the thick of it. My Mets are rolling. They're rolling. They're one bullpen piece away from becoming, I think, a really, really, really good team. They're close. And what's crazy about this is that they're getting production out of guys that are having more or less career years. Nimmo's the first guy that comes to mind. I heard a stat yesterday. I think now he's at 50, or actually probably 60 RBIs at this point. His career high is 67. Okay, this is now, we're talking like middle of July, so we're probably a little past the halfway point of the season. He's on pace for about 115 RBIs. And probably he's going to probably hit about 25 home runs, 20 doubles. Those are the type of production you need out of somebody that's unexpected in order to go places, in my opinion. If you look around, last few years or so, it's always like somebody, is good, but has that like really good like career year out of nowhere where it takes a team from like one level to the next. And that's Nimmo this year. The move to left field has helped him, even though I don't think he was a terrible center fielder. Listen, he wasn't great. His arm's not very good, but he can catch the ball. And I think he's plugged where he should be in left field. Bader, you can tell, like, really is a tremendous center fielder. His hitting's a little to be desired. He kind of comes and goes with his hitting, but he is an outstanding fielder. He really is. And he saved a lot of runs for them. He's got a lot of, older Met fans will remember this name, Juan Lagares. He's got a lot of Juan Lagares in him. Where Lagares would go back on balls and really go get the ones that you never thought would be caught. Bader's kind of the same way. And obviously Bader's a better offensive player than Lagares was, but Lagares was a tremendous defensive player. One of the better center fielders I think the Mets have ever had, to be completely honest with you. Just defensively I'm talking about. But yeah, we're, as we sit right now, the Mets are tied with San Diego for a playoff spot. They're right in the thick of things. They really are. Again, how can you not be energetic and excited about how this team is playing right now? On the flip side of it, I'm not a Yankee fan, but I do follow. I know what's going on. They're a mess. And honestly, I don't know what the answer is with them. I have a lot of friends of mine that are Yankee fans, and they tell me things about the manager and the lack of, I guess, accountability on that team. And listen, I don't watch them day to day. I watch them here and there. I don't really kind of follow it as a diehard would. I'm watching the Mets. I can't watch both. And, I'm not one of those people that would just DVR the Met, DVR a Met game and then watch a Yankee game to go back. Nah, I'm not doing that. They're my team. I'm going to watch them. But again, when the Mets aren't on or there's something going on or, you catch the highlights here and there, you hear things, you see things. And one of the biggest things is that the Yankees do not have any accountability at all. A guy like Gleyber Torres makes very lackadaisical, non-winning plays. A guy like Trent Grisham makes a very lackadaisical play out in center field, and then it's just there's no accountability. And when there's no accountability, that falls on the manager, in my opinion. And again, I don't know Aaron Boone. I don't really, know his managing style very well. But again, you kind of read between the lines, you kind of see things and hear things. I think if they're going to put a spark in this team, the manager's got to go. And I'm not trying to sit here and call for somebody's job. I'm not doing that. But if you're in the business of winning, which, the Yankees always tell you that they are, and, they'll make moves here and there to say, oh, yeah, we're in the business of winning. We're doing this. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's my opinion. If you want this team to become a World Series team, I think the first thing you do is fire the manager. And then after you fire the manager, find somebody who's going to hold these guys accountable. I think that's the bottom line into all of this, accountability. You can't have guys on your team that can get away with making less than plays, and then there's no repercussion for it. There's no benchings. There's no anything. It's just We're just going to keep going out there and doing it. And that isn't going to work. In business, in life, like you need accountability. You need somebody sometimes telling you that maybe the way you think is not the right way to think, but do it in a way where there's a I guess the best way I can put it is there's a trust and there's like an understanding, because people can say things sometimes that can be a little demeaning and say things that maybe are trying to get a message across that maybe you don't necessarily want to hear at that time, but maybe when you think back on it, maybe it's the right thing to say, but it's just how you say it. I'm a firm believer in, having to say things in a certain tone, in a certain way to get your message across, but don't do it in like a condescending, almost like a got you kind of way. I think that's just unproductive. And I also think that's, you're then belittling people. And you know what, again, in our business and just in life in general, don't do that. Be nice to people. Be nice to, your toll worker, be nice to, people you come across, hold the doors for them, stuff like that. That little stuff goes a long way. It really does. And, that's something that my wife and I are really passionate about, treating, people with respect, and also, trying to teach our children that. And I think that's very important. But it all kind of ties in, especially if you're playing on a team or if you're in a business or just your family dynamic. I think it all kind of ties in together with treating people with respect, holding people accountable, and being honest. I think those three things are the three things that can really take you from a place where you're kind of meddling in the middle to really ascending into something great. Again, I mean, we'll see where this goes. I know All-Star Weekend is coming up. I know the Futures game is coming up. I'm not really too familiar. I'm not a big prospect person. Again, you really hear things here and there, but I mean, until they come up, you really don't know what they're going to be. The Home Run Derby, I'm not, maybe if this was 15 years ago or 20 years ago, I'd be really into the Home Run Derby, but I know my kids are, and they love that stuff, and that's great. It's kind of built for like children, but for me, I can come and go with it. I don't love the fact that Alonso's in it again. I get it. He kind of wants to put on a show for the fans, but the way Pete's hitting, I think you should worry about trying to, drive in some runs, dude. Like this contract thing is really, it's written all over your face. Like you've done things to try to get you to maximize your contract, and in a way, you've basically almost like cut your nose off to spite your face. And I think the thing that's going to benefit the most are the Mets, because they're not going to give him what he's asking for. And I don't think there's a team out there that's going to give him what he's asking for. Therefore, they're going to come back to us, meaning the Mets, and have kind of more of a, I guess, a above average to okay level of salary longer term. Because I honestly do believe that he doesn't want to leave. I do believe that in my heart. I don't think he wants to go anywhere, but I also think he wants the most money. And the way you're performing, you're not performing like a guy that is going to get the most money. I'm sorry, you're not. Like the Mets are winning almost to the point now of spite of you. Because I don't think that he's not, I mean, he does things here and there, but he's not, I've seen him carry this team. There's been stretches, especially 2022, you're talking even 2019, a little bit like, little bit here and there, and then the other 2 years that he's been around. But especially those 2 years, 2021 up as well, he carried them. I mean, carried them. He was the guy that when he got up, you stop what you're doing, you go, oh, wow, Pete Alonso's up. I better go watch. He's not like that anymore. Now when he's up, I'm more scared than I am, excited about watching him hit, because I feel like he's just going to chase another slider away. He's not disciplined. He's trying to do too much. And if he just simplifies things, and when that slider breaks outside, especially if it's in his reach, try to just take it the other way, hit it over the second baseman's head, more or less, not necessarily hit for average, but you have power. You have unlimited power. You can hit the ball out to all fields. The problem is you're trying to yank everything to left field. And when you're doing that, your head's out of the way, you're out of whack. Like, it's just, he's pressing. He's pressing, and he needs to just more or less just go play baseball for the next, 60 plus games and kind of see where it goes. I mean, at this point, like, I don't think the Mets are going to trade him. I don't think that they're going to take him out of the four-hole because, I mean, he's still a presence in that lineup, but he needs to produce. And I'm not just talking home runs. Like, home runs are great, My big thing, and this is just me, I know like everybody gets convoluted in stats and all this, nonsense with OPS and WAR and all this other nonsense garbage. I don't necessarily agree with it. There's two things I look at in an offensive player, actually three. On base percentage, because that constitutes everything. Walks, reaching on errors and hits and whatever you're going to do. Okay. RBIs. How many guys are you driving in when you're up to bat? Okay. If you're driving in 115, 120 runs a season, that's a good thing. And then how many runs are you scoring? Because that's also another thing. Like if you can score over 100 runs, knock in over 100 runs, and have, let's be real, 375 on base, to me, I think you're close to about an MVP level player. And he's been that. That's the thing. And I think that's the most frustrating thing is because we've seen it. And in a contract year, everybody sees, the Aaron Judge effect, right? Aaron Judge goes out in a contract year, hits 62 home runs. Now he gets a big contract, and that's a whole other story. I know in the last podcast I had mentioned about how I feel about Aaron Judge. I still feel that way. Nothing's changed. Again, the other night, up at a big spot, what happens? Doesn't produce. Good luck, Yankee fans. Good luck with him. He's your guy for the next, 7 years? You're not winning a darn thing with that guy. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it real. You're not. That whole thing needs to be blown up, and it's very broken. But I digress. So we're going to talk to Nick in a few minutes. We're going to catch up with him, see what's going on, talk some NBA, some MLB, and among some other things we'll throw in there. And then after we come back with Nick, I'm going to share some thoughts on something that I never thought I'd actually be into, but I've been into it every step of the way. So, without further ado, let's hear from our sponsors, Jump Shot Gym, a one-of-a-kind basketball training facility located in Hillsborough, New Jersey. 8 Hoops, 8 Hoops, and the Dr. Dish shooting machines. Have you ever seen one of those things? It's really cool. Basically, what it does is that it's like a big net around a basketball hoop, okay? So when you're shooting, you can shoot, and when you make it, or if you miss, it'll catch it itself, kind of funnel itself inside, and then pass it right back to you. So you don't even have to go out and rebound your own ball anymore. You can just get your shots in. That's the most important thing, especially at the younger levels. Get your shots in, everybody. If it's outside or at Jump Shot Gym, which I encourage everybody to do, get your shots up. You want to be better? That's what you need to do. Work on your ball handling and get your shots up. All right? So, again, you want to build a better, consistent jump shot? Visit jumpshotgym.com for information on shooting clinics, camps, and parties. Also, check out their merchandise. It's very good. Jumpshotgym.com. Also, Brazina Home Improvements. That's right. Looking for any general contractor or repair need for your business or your home, contact Brazina Home Improvements at 609-581-5848. Again, 609-581-5848. All right, everybody. When we get back, Robin is back. Nick Grasselli joins us. Let's go.
There you go. All right, guys, we are back here on the All Around, and as you can see, we are joined by my co-host. Back from a fresh vacation down in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Relaxed. You saw the pictures on Instagram at Nick.Grasselli. Check him out over there. He is Mr. Philadelphia. He is the man, okay? The 16-year-old boy wonder who knows more sports than you. Just remember that. And if you try to test him, you're going to have to test me too. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Grasselli joins the show. Nick, what is going on, my friend?
So glad to be back.
Yeah, listen, you're a big part of this. You know that.
Yep.
So I said in my open about the trade deadline. So I want to kind of touch base with you about what your thoughts about the Phillies. What do you think their biggest need is?
Yeah, so they've been doing pretty good. They just swept the Dodgers and looking pretty good. I think as I've been watching them, maybe another reliever could really help them. They have like a spot they can probably open up, but keeping Strom, Hoffman, Kirkering, and then you have Alvarado. If you get another guy, that could be really good. And then, another bat, of course. There's a lot of options. Could be Cody Bellinger, but he's a lefty, so there's Lane Thomas from the Nationals, or you can go bigger and go like Luis Robert, if he's available. But I don't really want to give up one of our prospects, Aiden Miller. He's like really good prospect, and I feel like keeping one prospect that's to develop him in the future would really help the future out.
I got to be honest with you about something. So Mets played early yesterday. Now I was working, so I kind of followed along with the game. I was, kind of paying attention to it. So when I got home, there was really no other thing on TV. So I actually started watching the Phillies and the Dodgers. And I just so happened, did you see Schwarber's home run last night?
Yeah, I did.
Like he hit that ball so hard. And you see the guy that tried to catch the ball and he did, and his kids were all mad at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting out of the way of that, dude. Like, I'm sorry. They said on the telecast, that ball was in 109 miles an hour. I'm trying to catch that with my bare hand. And he tried to catch it one-handed, and he's all upset with himself. Like, you're lucky you didn't get killed. Seriously, that ball's coming, had a hair on it. Jeez.
The kid actually still got the ball. Like, someone
Did he
else
get it?
gave him a ball. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
if the same ball, but someone, yeah, gave him a different one, I guess.
Listen, it's funny. When you catch something like that on TV, that's what happens. It's
Yeah.
as crazy as that sounds. But I want to touch on something that you said about, position players. Lane Thomas is a guy that is a very good and underrated baseball player. And they were talking on the Mets radio broadcast yesterday that Lane Thomas is one of those guys there. He might be available because I guess Washington has so many other outfield prospects they're trying to bring up. So he's a guy that might kind of get lost in the shuffle there. He'd be a great fit for any team. Like he is a
Yeah,
great right fielder. That dude's got a strong arm.
he does. And I think he would probably play center field for us. And I think he used to play more center field. And, if he can spot right in center field, or he can play left field if Marsh moves over to center field. But honestly, the Rojas guy we have, Johan Rojas, he's hasn't been bad. He's not gonna you can't give him really playoff at bats, but his defense is really good.
You see Rojas is like a late inning kind of defensive replacement kind of guy.
Yeah, probably in the future, yeah. At least, this season probably. In the future, maybe if he gets more reps, batting, help him out. But for the season, yeah.
I'm going to say something right now on the show that I never thought I'm going to say. Okay. I have a feeling that the Mets and the Phillies are going to see each other in the playoffs this year. I I don't have any type of logic behind it. I don't have any type of stats to back me up. This is a gut feeling. It's never happened. And the way the Mets are going right now and how the Phillies are kind of more or less ran away with the division. I mean, I think the division's a wrap. Like the Phillies they've got it. They've got it on lock. And that's okay. The Mets are kind of hovering. You know what I mean? Like they're starting to kind of build something now. And now they're coming up. They got a 3-game set, this starting this weekend against Colorado, which hey, they took 3 from the Nationals. That's great. You get 2 out of 3 from Colorado. You're sitting at 3 games over going into the break, which any Met fan now would sign up for, going off of where they were, say, 6 weeks ago. Okay. If they kind of stay on that same track and they're still kind of moving in that direction, I think they're going to add, personally, I really do. I think they're going to add a reliever. I heard the closer for the Angels. I don't know the guy's name. I heard his name mentioned a few times. I think they're trying to get rid of Rendon. I don't even know what the heck's going on with Rendon. Is he even playing? Like, I mean, what
I think he's hurt.
worst contract in history of sports, dude.
Yeah.
And you got all these different. I definitely think they just got Phil Maton, which I thought was a pretty good piece for them. And I like the fact that they're gonna probably add another one. I still think they need another position player. I really do. Like I'm not sold on Marte. I'm really not. And I think they can upgrade in right field. I like the platoon with Taylor and Stewart. I think that'll work for now. But I mean, if you're going to go into a playoff situation, I think if you're going to upgrade, maybe another outfielder would be all right. Vientos is kind of locked third base down, but he's one of these guys that's going to play 6, 7 innings, come in, Iglesias will be his defensive replacement, and he'll kind of carry him that way. McNeil has been a disaster. He has been. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. I mean, you see glimpses here and there, but he's been a disaster. So, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he gets moved. And again, I mean, we'll see where it goes. I think the key to this team is Alvarez. I've thought so the entire season. He just brings a different kind of energy to that team. You can't explain it. He's just so I guess positive, and he's very good with the pitching staff. So, and he seems like he's starting to figure it out at the plate, which is kind of scary with that kid's power. And he's got a lot of moxie. He's got a lot of just swag, and I like that about him, and that's okay. That could be a very good thing for this team.
Yeah, I think the Mets, I think if, healthy, they should easily, not easily, but, they can definitely slide into the 6th seed wild card. 5th seed, maybe, the Cardinals, 4th, Braves, and then therefore, I don't know. I mean, maybe if they get the 5th seed, but if the Mets get the 6th seed, you know, I think and the Phillies win and the Mets win, NLCS possible. The 6th
Listen,
seed's been
dude, I'm telling you, like, again, it could be the division series. Heck, it could be the National League Championship Series. Let's make this pact right now. We'll put this on wax right now, okay? If this happens, we got to go to game one. Deal?
sounds good.
Wherever it is. If it's in New York, we'll go. If it's in Philly, we'll go. We have to.
After,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's no doubt. Are you into the home run derby or no?
I know who's like participating. Yeah, I watch it every year.
Yeah, I can't get into it, man. Like I'm just not.
Really?
Yeah, Carter, Logan, and Brett are real into it. They love it, and that's fine. But like me, I'm like I can kind of go without it now. Like because my fondest memory of the home run derby, I'm going to be honest with you, and this was way before your time. Ken Griffey Jr. hitting the warehouse in Baltimore. That's to me the greatest thing that ever happened in the home run derby. I'm sorry. I always say this. Gary Carter was my hero as a kid. He was. But my favorite player growing up was Ken Griffey Jr. Yeah, he's like my favorite non-Met player of all time, just because I loved his swing. I loved the way he, that's just swag that he had and how great of a player he truly was. And injuries robbed him. I'm sorry. Like he was on the trajectory to hit probably 750 home runs if injuries didn't get in the way of him. And he, for my money, is still the greatest player I've ever seen in person. So I was happy. I went to Baltimore a couple of years ago with Melissa, my wife, and your aunt, and I went and took a picture because they mark every home run out there.
Yeah.
I took a picture where Griffey hit the warehouse, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw the clip. It was
No,
crazy,
I'm telling you, like
insane.
the whole build up to that Nick, was, is anybody going to hit the warehouse? Is anybody going to actually hit it on the fly? And he did it, and it was like, oh, this dude is legit. Like he's that guy. So, and everybody knew that beforehand either. I mean, again, like if you watch him and just kind of see even early on how good he was, and to really even see him at the end, I thought he was still productive. And then again, I love the guy. I've always loved Griffey. I'll continue to beat the drum of Ken Griffey Jr. until the end of time, basically. So I wanted to hit this with you, okay? Skeens, all right. I've only seen Skeens once against the Mets, and that's all I need to see because like this dude is, like he is. There's something different about that guy.
There
Okay,
is. Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's something way different about him. And you can't even compare it to anything. Like I maybe I don't even think this is a fair comparison either. Kerry Wood. When Kerry Wood burst on the scene, in 1998, he had that like, moxie about him, but he didn't have the stuff Skeen had. Okay. And you can say Matt Harvey and then Strasburg and DeGrom. No, this dude's different, like legit different.
Yeah, he was just drafted like last year at the same time, and he's already starting an All-Star game.
Yeah.
His pitching is just crazy. There was a clip. There was a first he pitched a fastball that was like way out of the zone, and then it was like 2-strike pitch, and he pitched a slider, and the slider was like the same as the fastball, and then it cuts right into the zone, and then it's a strikeout looking. It was a crazy clip. I don't know how he does it.
I mean, eh, I couldn't stand the boxing against that guy, and I'm a lefty. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like, and I'm like, I'm just looking. Like I'm not paying attention to that. And dude, he's so good. And it makes business sense for Major League Baseball for him to start the All-Star. It does.
Yeah.
He's box office. The guy is must watch anytime you see him. The highlights of this dude, like he is as advertised. That's the best way I can put it. You hear all the hoopla about this guy, he's doing this and he's doing that. Like, yeah, watch him. Okay. Like if you want to, don't listen to me or don't listen to you. Like watch the guy pitch and you're like, yeah, that dude's different.
Yeah, and starting in the All-Star game, he's probably going to pitch against Gunnar Henderson,
Yeah.
Soto,
Yep.
and Judge.
Yeah.
Like that's everyone. Like everyone wants to see that, not
Yeah.
the bottom of the order.
Judge will strike out too. Trust me. He's good for that.
He might strike out the side.
No, I'm not. I'm not, and you know this. I'm not the biggest fan of Aaron Judge, and I don't want to hear about the whole, he's the best player in baseball nonsense. No, he's not. He's not the best player in baseball. The best player in baseball doesn't show up in a big spot and strike out like this guy does constantly. Okay, like he's not even the best player on his team. Okay, like Soto to me is a better player than Judge is.
Yeah, it's interesting because Otani was just playing the Phillies, and he struck out a couple times in big scenarios. The one was, I think, the biggest one was Matt Strom.
Yes.
Bases loaded, bottom eight, 1 out. And Matt Strom just, I mean, his helmet came off. That's how good the
Yeah.
pitch was.
Yeah.
And, I think these players, you can get them with certain relievers. You can get that reliever that can strike out any guy. Those are the best in the game. There's no better.
I'm gonna throw something at you. You'll agree with this. You know why the Mets signed Jake Diekman?
Don't.
I'll give you two guesses why they signed Jake Diekman.
Lefty that just,
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
you're
know.
right on the track. He's a
Slider?
lefty. He's a lefty that throws a nasty slider. But why? Why would the Mets go out and get a guy that can neutralize lefties?
There's a lot of lefties out there that.
All right, you ready? Schwarber, Harp. That's it. That's the reason.
Fair point.
Yeah, they had to do something to neutralize him. And even though, listen, Schwarber hit a bomb last night off of the left. I mean that we were just
He's
talking
hitting
about the
really
ball.
good against lefties. I
Yeah,
think he's
so
hitting
but
better lefties against righties.
that's hard, man. As a lefty, like it's hard because you can't see the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand. Especially if they have like a funky motion or like a sidearm or like a 3/4. It's very hard to pick up the ball. You almost have to open your stance up just a little bit more in order to kind of get a glimpse of it. And heaven forbid they throw like a breaking ball at you. They're done. You're done. I'm sorry, you're
Yeah.
done. How these guys can just locate these left-handed pitchers and just hit the ball a mile. It's a skill, dude, that like honestly, like I don't think lefties get enough credit for because they don't face them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, just yesterday, the Dodgers, they were going to start a guy who was a righty. And then instead, like a couple hours before the game, they put in a lefty starter. It started just one inning to face Schwarber and Harper. And Schwarber got on base. And then Turner, I don't know. I think he got on base. One of them got on base, pretty sure. And then Harper struck out or whatever. But then if you try to go lefty against Schwarber and Harper, and one of them get on base, then you got Bohm coming up. He's a righty. He smacks lefties. That's the
He
interesting
does.
point.
Yeah, yes, he does. And listen, the way the Phillies lineup is constructed, 1 through 4 is deadly. And you still have Real Muto and Castellanos. Like their lineup is so deep. And they scare me. They really do. And they're battle tested. I think, listen, obviously I think the Arizona thing was a fluke last year. Arizona, that was more of a, that hot team, right time, whatever. The Phillies were the best team in baseball last year. Let's just be honest about that. And I think they are still now. Until somebody comes up to them and proves to me that there's a better team out there than the Phillies, and that's hard for me to say, as you know. I mean, they're gonna be right there again.
Yeah, record wise, I think they're 4.5 games over the second best team in the league. I mean, yeah, the previous 2 seasons, they didn't have good regular seasons. They started off slow and barely got in. But then once they got in, they showed how good they actually are against best teams. They beat the Braves, who were the best team twice. No problem.
They own the Braves, dude, and I love every second of it. Like I can't stand the Phillies, but I can't stand the Braves just as much as I can't stand the Phillies. So hey, when those two things happen, I win anyway. All right, I want to switch gears with you here real quick. Kyle Lowry's back, huh?
Yes, yep.
1 year deal, 38 years old, staying around. I was thinking about this before we kind of started talking. Kyle Lowry, I think, is in the top 5 for me. Sports guys, I can't stand. I think he's on that list. Like, I think he might have cracked the top 5. Like for me, Roger Clemens, Chase Utley, um, Shane Victorino. I don't know why. I just couldn't stand him as when he was on the Phillies. I got to think about this. Martin
Sean Jackson.
Brodeur, can't stand it. I couldn't stand Brodeur. Oh, he drove me insane. And yes, Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, Yeah, we're not going there. So yeah, I think Kyle Lowry's on the list. Yeah, he's up there. I mean, he's love him if you're on your team, but you can't stand him if you're playing against him.
Yeah, I hated playing against him. Yeah, the Raptors, the Heat, hate it. But once he's on the team, it's fun. But I think he's gonna be a really good piece to help even Jared McCain out. I think that's the most important. I think last playoffs he played too much.
I
They
agree.
really wanted to they just used him, and I don't think he was capable of that. But now, he's a guy that's gonna play 20 minutes a night probably in the playoffs. Maybe 15, 20, in between. But he gives you that veteran presence that this team really needs, and it's gonna. I think he's a really solid backup at this point in his career. Yeah, and he can play in late minutes of games if you really need him to.
I could not agree with you more. I really could. And honestly, I think it's us. I think it's the Sixers, and I think it's Boston. I think it's those three teams vying for the Eastern Conference next year. I think Milwaukee's taking a step backwards. I think Miami's taking a step backwards, and I really don't believe in any of these other teams, the Clevelands and everybody else. I think it's us. I think it's Philly, and I think it's Boston. And right now, I think those three teams are kind of more or less intertwined together at the top. And like I said, I think the Knicks are still making another move. What that move is, I don't know, but there's something else coming. The Sixers are legit, man. Like Maxey, George, Embiid, Oubre's a good player. Now you're throwing Kyle Lowry, okay? Like you've done, you go out and get a backup in Andre Drummond that when Embiid sits, you're not really necessarily losing so much rebounding. He's not going to score
Yeah,
for you, but you know what? Play defense. So you got that, and then fill in the gaps there. I mean, they're legit, like legit. This campaign, is he still on the team or does he go on? He's
he's
set.
a free agent.
Okay, so they haven't signed him yet.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna resign. I think a guy
So
they might sign minimum contract. Well, not minimum, but maybe a little above minimum. A couple of teams are like contending teams. Gary Trent Jr.
yes, and you know what? I forgot about Caleb Martin. He was the guy I was thinking about. That's why he was that. So again, another solid rotation piece.
Yep.
They're good. Like I mean, they're legit. Like and they're being built in a style that looks like to me the 2019 Toronto Raptors. You know,
Yeah.
it's got that kind of feel to it. You have the star in Embiid, okay? You have the up and coming superstar in Maxey. You have the Paul George is still kind of that above average player. He's a star, but he's not a superstar.
Yeah.
Okay, and
He's
then you have
yeah.
good.
He's still like a top 40 in the league, top
I,
30
I can live with that. Yeah, that's
around
fair.
there.
I think that's fair to say. And
Yeah.
they're they're legit. Like they're a 55 to 60 win team again. I really believe that. And listen, those next Sixers games are going to be fun. They're going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they should. I think 55 should be easy for them. They were on pace to win probably over 60 if Embiid didn't get hurt last year. They were just dominant. With Embiid, they were like
They were.
what? I think they went like 30-9 or something with Embiid. Or something around there.
Yeah, some crazy number.
Yeah,
Have you watched any of the NBA Summer League?
I watched a little of the Sixers, but otherwise not really.
So you haven't seen Zach Edey yet in Memphis?
I'm not. They played the
No.
Sixers, but Edie didn't play.
I liked Zach Edey in college, but in my whole thing, I'm like, how's this dude going to fit in the pros? The game just doesn't play like that anymore. I said this. I know I've said this to you offline. I've said this to my kids. I said this to anybody that will listen. If this was 20 years ago, Zach Edey would have been the number one pick of the draft. Okay. He looks the part now. It looks like he's lost weight. He looks like he's in shape and he's got some sort of bounce to him. And I guess it's summer league. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, don't read into this, but like he can play at this level. And not only I think he can play at this level, I think he can perform and actually be a legitimate NBA player at this level. I'm not going to say he's going to turn around and be a superstar, or he's going to be like an all-star or anything like that, but I think he could be a very productive player for any team that just, obviously Memphis now, but like, any other team that decides to, maybe take a look at him when, his contract comes up, or even if he develops with Memphis, where Memphis can say, all right, let's extend him and give him a max. I think he's a max player. I do. I really do. I think he's going to be. I mean, and again, it's one game. I'm not trying to overreact over one game, but I watched his college career and I've seen how much he's developed. He's got touch. He's got a fire to him. He's got leadership qualities, and he plays tremendous defense. So to me, having that like the anchor back there is your five, and then you add Morant to him. Okay, Memphis is gonna be right there again.
And he was someone really dominant in the March Madness tournament. He put up what? He put easily
Oh,
30,
he put up
15,
monster
20.
numbers.
Yeah, monster
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah. And
And
you
then
know
he's
what's
going
crazy? Yeah.
go.
So you know what's crazy about that? I was just thinking about this. Jaren Jackson Jr. is gonna play the four. Okay. So now you have Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Edie's gonna be your center, and then Desmond Bain. All
That
right.
team's really good.
Yo.
And I think Edie went to a perfect spot,
Oh,
honestly.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Probably the best spot he could have went in the whole
I
draft.
agree. I totally agree. I totally agree because you know what? If he gets going and they get him, getting some early touches, and then Morant can kind of do his thing, he doesn't necessarily need to score as much, even though he's going to probably score 25 points a game. But if Edie can get 10 or 12 points a game, and then you got Jackson, you got Bain, you got, fill in the blank. Yo, don't sleep on Memphis. Don't sleep on Memphis. They're coming.
As long as they
All
can
right.
stay healthy,
Yeah.
they're good.
No. I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Last thing I want to bring up to you. Did you watch the Team USA Canada game?
I did watch it.
Okay. Let me hear it. Because I got some strong thoughts about this. So go ahead.
At first, the team looked pretty awful, but they got it going in the second half. One of the players started, Joel Embiid, fouled out in about 12 minutes. But something about him is he always struggles after like a break or injury. He's hurt in the playoffs. He's gonna once he gets going, I think he's gonna be really good. For the rest of the team, I think playing a lot of games might end up hurting them. They have a couple games coming up, like pretty consistent. I just wonder if they're going to be able to keep playing at a good rate.
I think their second team is better than their first team. I truly believe that. I
Yeah,
think they should flip flop who starts and who comes off the bench. Kerr will never do it because he has too much respect for Curry and LeBron and Embiid and all those guys.
mhm.
Great. Okay. And listen, no disrespect to Drew Holiday or anybody like that. Okay. You mean to tell me the next five you got coming off the bench is Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo? That's your next five? I
And
mean,
you add Durant. Where you're
yeah,
strong going to go.
yeah, I agree. I mean, if I'm Kerr, I'm looking at that should be my starting five and say, okay, let me sprinkle in the LeBrons and the Currys and the veteran guys, the Embiids and all those guys to kind of more or less spell some of these younger guys that can play the bulk of the minutes. Now, I'm not saying they should be on the floor in crunch time, obviously, but I just think that you got Anthony Edwards, dude. Come on, man. Like Halliburton. I mean, you can even replace him with Drew Holiday. I don't think you're losing there, but dude, Adebayo, who is a strong defensive five who can pass. I think his passing is so underrated. He is a great passer in the post. Okay. Davis that can create his own shot and get to the rim. Edwards, who's just untapped. Like he hasn't even scratched the surface about how good he's gonna be. And that's scary.
He should start easily.
I 100%. And listen, when he even said it, like I should be the number one option, I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, dude, you got a point. Like, you really should be the number one option.
Yeah, I think the problem right now with the team is the starters, they don't have any wings. There's no
No,
wings. It's
no, they don't.
Holiday, Curry, Booker, and then you switch over. You got Embiid, who
Yeah.
played before. I forget who played before.
But all right, I mean, I guess
Oh,
their wings are
LeBron.
more or less,
LeBron.
yeah, LeBron. But your wings are LeBron, Tatum, and
Yeah.
and Durant. Okay, LeBron's 39. All right, Durant's what 36. I mean, and how come? And here's another thing too. I thought was interesting. Why isn't Jaylen Brown on this team? Why'd you go to
Yeah.
Derek White?
Yeah, he made some points on Twitter actually, saying about it once Derek White got in. He was making points and saying why he isn't on the team. He's arguably better than Tatum.
I agree.
He just won Finals MVP.
Yeah, and he rightfully so. He was the best player. He was the best player in that series. And I'm not the biggest Jaylen Brown fan, but I mean, you can't argue what he's done. So why
Yeah,
why are we taking Derek White and not Jaylen Brown? Like, what is the deal there? That doesn't make sense to me.
yeah. So I think the starting lineup. I think the team needs some changes. I think maybe they're just getting used to it, trying to really figure out what to do. And the interesting point is coming up, they play Jokic, Serbia.
They do play Serbia.
Are you going to start Embiid or start Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis typically struggles against him.
I got it.
That's an interesting point to me.
Yeah, I think you should start Embiid in that category. I do, because Embiid
Yeah.
can neutralize Jokic. I mean, as much as anybody can. You know what they should have? You know what they should have done? They should have put Cooper Flag on the team. That's what they should have done. Yo, this dude was cooking dudes. Like, he's 17 years old.
He's so good. He's going to be
Oh
the
my
next.
gosh.
Yeah.
I've never seen a 17-year-old kid that polished in my life. I'm sorry. Like, and listen, again, it's like me kind of talking about Zach Edey, right? Yo, he was cooking dudes. Like, legitimately. Like I'm like, this kid's 17 years old? He's doing this to these guys? Are you kidding me?
He's someone that a lot of teams are going to tank for this year. The Bulls, the Raptors, the
Yeah,
Wizards,
Brooklyn.
they're all going to tank.
Yeah, and the worst thing ever happened in my life is the fact he's going to Duke. That's all we need.
I thought he was going to go to UConn, honestly.
I wish he would have gone to UConn, like anywhere but Duke, because then all the Duke fans come out. Yeah, Duke, no, come on. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Hey, I'm gonna enjoy watching the kid play. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's a superstar. Like, I'm sorry. Like, he is legitimately going to be a, in time, base of a league type of player. Like, he's that good.
He's really good. I'm looking forward to watching him. I don't really watch that much college basketball until March Madness, but you see the clips, the videos
Dude,
coming out of how
I'm
good he is.
listen. I'll be locked in when he plays. I might not be watching a lot of college basketball, but I'll tell you what, with Cooper Flags on my screen, we're stopped.
Fair point.
All right, kid. Listen, it's great to talk to you as always. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yep.
We'll touch base on some things. Maybe we'll do a little All-Star game stuff, before the game. And we're kind of getting into the dog days here. And then, before you know it, I actually just saw this yesterday. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. August 1st is the Hall of Fame game.
That's soon.
Yeah, August 1st, dude. We're talking like 2.5 weeks away. So guess what, everybody? Football's coming, and when football gets here, it's going to be wall-to-wall football. I mean, we'll talk about everything else, believe me, but I tell you right now, football will take over this show.
Yep.
Nick, you're the man. You know how much I appreciate you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yep. See you.
Later.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the All Around. That's right. You love the old school hip hop here on the show. Doesn't get much better than that, my friends. All right, guys, I teased a little something in the open about something I've been very much into that I never thought in a million years I would be into, and that is the Copa America tournament. Yes, soccer. Yeah, I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting here in front of all of you talking about soccer. But you know what? I'm in, man. Any type of like international soccer tournament. I'm not talking about like the leagues, because for me, it's like way too complicated for me. Like, you got to do this many points, and then this person gets relegated, and then there's this league, and then there's a Champions League, and then there's another Ultra Champ. I don't know. I can't keep up. It's too much. There's too many divisions, too many leagues, all that nonsense. But I can figure out a country, and if there's a really good player on a certain country, and I see how crazy all the fans are about all this stuff, I can get behind that. And you know what? I've been really into this Copa America tournament. I'm a little disappointed in the United States because I feel like they should have turned the corner already. And it just so noticed that it just fired their coach. That coach probably should have been fired 2 years ago. I don't think he should have ever came back. After that whole World Cup disaster. I mean, I know they got through and made it to the knockout stage or whatever, but I mean, I felt like there's more there. And you hear all the nonsense with him, all the different things that have happened. It was time, and hopefully they find somebody that can kind of take this national team to a place where it's never been since, I think it's 1960 they won the World Cup. And we'll see. Soccer is a big thing in this country. As a person who coaches youth sports just as much as, anybody, that, follows the show, you see it. You see, everybody out there, doing their thing, and it's about time that the United States starts to catch up to the rest of the world when it comes to this. And I feel like there's so much untapped potential in this country in regards to how good the team can really be. They just need leadership, and they don't have it right now. And I don't think they've had it for a very long time. So hopefully they get that thing all squared away, and we can find somebody to really take this team in the direction where I feel like they can be a powerhouse, because the talent's there. It's not about talent anymore. I feel like we're there. I think now that you see these different generations, how soccer has just become a big sport in the United States. You see it with the success of Major League Soccer. Anytime you turn on the TV, yeah, it might not get a lot of television publicity, but there's people in the stands. Like they go. People go. So, and that's what it's all about. You get the gate, you start getting money, and then you start seeing some traction with television and everything. So good for them. I also think that we're in a position, especially with like the national team, that you can play the underdog role like now a little bit, but until you kind of get to that level where I feel like they can get to, it's something that uses motivation. You can't have teams that are less than beating you. You can't. You just can't. And in this tournament, I mean, you see a team like Canada get through. You see a team like Colombia. I know they've had a pretty big unbeaten streak, but I mean, I wouldn't know the first person on Colombia. But I know who Lionel Messi is. I know who the guy Suarez is from Uruguay. I know those names. And I've been really into the Copa America. I really have. I watched pretty much the entire tournament, up until now. I know the finals are on Sunday. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be locked in. We're actually going down to, Virginia to see my brother-in-law, Patrick. Shout out to my boy, Patrick. Shout out to all the police officers out there as well. My brother-in-law's, puts his life on the line every day as a state trooper down in Virginia. So you know what? Kudos to him, because that's something I could never do. And shout out to all you first responders, police officers, you firemen, EMTs, doctors, all of you, grocery workers. That's big. A lot of people don't put grocery workers on that list, but you know what? During, COVID times, everybody needed something and those stores were open. So shout out to all of you grocery workers out there. Okay, but yeah, we're going down to see Patrick and his family, so I'm looking forward to that. So Sunday night, we're winding down. I'm telling you right now, watching the Copa America final. I'm in. Argentina, Colombia. I'm not going to break down the game because I don't know enough strategy when it comes to soccer to talk strategy. I kind of know what I see. You can kind of see where the momentum is and who's got the possession and who doesn't. But I will be rooting for Argentina. Not because Lionel Messi is my favorite player. Not because, they won the World Cup a couple of years ago. No. If you guys follow soccer, okay, or even if you don't, there is a guy on Argentina with the last name McAllister. That's right. Alexis McAllister. Doesn't spell it the same way I do, but he might be a distant cousin. Who knows? I might even be Argentinian. I don't know. But there's a McAllister on Argentina. So guess what? I'm locked in for that. Argentina all the way. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. We're going to see everybody early next week. I'm going to try and make some show announcements right now. I'm working on a monetized piece for YouTube. So that's in the works. So once I get that all squared away, I will definitely bring that to everybody's attention. I love doing this show. I love being able to kind of, raise my thoughts and opinions to all of you and have fun and do all those wonderful things. I really, truly do. I think it's a blessing, and I think it's something that I don't think I've ever had so much fun doing something, especially to put out in the masses, to really make something of. But hey, like everything else, we're trying to make money here. That's why we do sponsorships. That's why we're doing ads. That's why we're doing all that stuff. So, hey, we're going to try and monetize this thing. We're looking at trying to do t-shirts now. We're going to try and do some hoodies, hats, stuff like that. I really want to try and make this something. That's the whole thing here, trying to brand this whole thing and really enjoy it. And hopefully, we get the merch out there and people enjoy the merchandise. And it's going to be a while. It's not going to be right away. It's not going to be something that's, going to be tomorrow or even, a month from now, but it's something in the works. I can tell you that right now. So yeah, the monetization in YouTube, that's coming. I'll definitely let everybody know when that's a really finalized thing. Also, we'll be back with you probably early next week. I'm thinking either Tuesday or Wednesday. We got some things lined up for next week. I'm not going to announce it. You'll just follow me on Instagram at JM14AllAroundPod. There'll be some insight there to what we have coming up. We have some guests lined up. It's just a matter of getting everybody together so we can record and have some fun. And one more time before we get out of here, let's talk about our sponsors. Jump Shot Gym, a one-of-a-kind basketball training facility located in Hillsborough, beautiful Hillsborough, New Jersey. You ever been out that way? It's beautiful out there. 8 hoops, and like I said before, the Dr. Dish shooting machines. Take your jump shot to the next level, please. Okay? It's all good stuff. Get the consistent reps you need to build a consistent shot. Visit jumpshotgym.com. That's right. One more time. jumpshotgym.com for info on shooting clinics, parties, and camps. One more time, Brazina Home Improvements. You're looking for any general contractor or repair needs for your home or business. Contact Brazina Home Improvements for a free estimate at 609-581-5848. One more time, 609-581-5848. Again, thank you to Nick Grasselli joining us on the show this week. We're going to be talking to him as well next Monday or Tuesday. We'll set that up, and then we'll be right here for you. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to everybody soon. See you!